Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sofia Azevedo and this is my colleague Marta Candeias. We are the Portuguese NMP National Contact Points, and as part of the NMP National Contact Points European Network, the NMP team, which is funded by the European Commission, we are organizing the 6th virtual event for clients. We have already organized other 5 about technology readiness levels, business plans, synergies with other funding mechanisms, policy mix, and the last one, partner search tool. Today's virtual event for clients is about the Clean Air Future Engine and Engine Retrofit prizes. Martin and Julia from the European Commission will explain all the details about these 2 prizes. This event will take around 1 hour and a half. It will consist of a presentation followed by a questions and answers session. So please feel free to ask questions during the presentation using the chat box available below the video streaming. If your questions, for any reason, will not be answered here today by Martin and Julia, then we will give you the answers later on. This event will be recorded, and along with the presentation and the answers, it will be published on the NMP team website. Without any further delays, let us start our event. Good afternoon, Martin and Julia. Thank you again for being available to present the prizes. Martin, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Marta and Sophia, for the introduction. So, as they said, my name is Martin Chamberlain. I work as a program officer in DG Research and Innovation. I'm working in the Materials and Nanotechnology unit, and I'm responsible for a prize called the Materials for Clean Air Prize. So could we have the next slide, please? Okay, so basically the European Commission has launched the Horizon Prize on Materials for Clean Air. And as you can see, it's quite a large award of 3 million euros for the person that solves the challenge of the prize. And the aim of the prize is to develop a material solution to reduce the concentration of particulate matter in urban areas, which is affordable, sustainable, innovative, and well designed. Next slide, please. So why have we decided upon this prize? Well, in the European Union, the average life expectancy is decreased by around 8.5 months because of exposure to particulate matter resulting from human activities. And this is through the inhalation of particulate matter, which can lead to adverse effects such as respiratory, cardiovascular, immune and neural systems. And as well as its bad effects on human health, it can also have adverse effects on climate change and ecosystems. Next slide, please. So again, as I said, air pollution is a major problem for health and the environment. It kills up to 500,000 Europeans every year. It's the air pollutant, particulate matter, which has the most severe impact on health. And around 90% of the population of European cities are exposed to particulate matter levels which exceed the World Health Organization's air quality guideline levels. Next slide, please. So what are the objectives of the prize? Well, the idea is to stimulate innovative thinking to find a materials-based solution to the problem. The idea is to improve air quality in urban areas and diminish the negative effect of particulate matter on health, climate change and ecosystems. We also want to capitalize on European research excellence and accelerate market adoption of new materials. And we want to unlock access to new business opportunity by enhancing European competitiveness in the field of green technologies. Next slide, please. So as again I said, the idea is to reduce the particulate matter and air pollution in urban areas through development of innovative material solutions. And these solutions should be design-driven, they must be affordable and sustainable, and they should demonstrate that they can effectively remove and or prevent the formation of particulate matter in the atmosphere. And for this prize, vehicle exhaust systems for cars, for example, are excluded. Next slide, please. So how can we meet this challenge? Well, the prize rules give contestants freedom to come up with the most promising and effective solution. but as a minimum it has to be affordable, sustainable, innovative and well designed, as I said before. You can see some information about the rules and the participation on the bottom of this slide. There's a website, the Horizon Prize Clean Air website. So basically there's all the information you need about the prize. So it has the guidelines for the prize, it has the rules for participation, it will have how the submissions that you make for proposals for prizes, how they're judged, how they're evaluated. So all the terms and conditions of the prize are on this website. But I will just go through briefly some of the criteria which will be used to judge the prizes. So shall we have the next slide, please? And maybe what's also important is that some of our research projects, you need to have a minimum of 3 legal entities. But for this prize, you can have a single person or a single legal entity or groups of legal entities that can participate in this prize. But they need to be either in EU member states or countries that are associated to the Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme. And as many of you are listening to this broadcast through the NCP contact, so you can also find partners through the NMP Partner Search website, which is set up by the NCPs. And one of the important bits of information is the timeline for this particular prize. So basically, you can start to submit your solutions for the prize from the 26th of January next year, 2017, but the prize submission will be open for a whole year, basically, until the 23rd of January 2018. And then the award will be made sometime in the latter part of 2018. Next prize, please. Slide, please. So the award criteria. So basically, the prize proposal will need to demonstrate reduction of particulate matter. So they should be able to demonstrate reduction of PM10 or PM2.5 or lower concentrations in outdoor, indoor, urban spaces of at least 1 microgram per meter cubed. And when assessing the effectiveness, the impact of this solution will have on reducing population exposure to particulate matter will be considered. And each solution should be demonstrated in the target setting, and documentation should be provided that supports the claim of the reduction of particulate matter concentration and population exposure. Next slide, please. So this also, the prize can't just be an idea, it has to be demonstrated to be applicable in a relevant environment. So it's expected to correspond to a technology readiness level which is equal to or greater than 7. And the relevance of the targeted environment, the choice of the site, and the concentration of particulate matter to be reduced should be described in detail. The innovative solution should be able to be produced and applied at a mass scale, so it needs to be not just a very small particular solution. It has to be something that could be applied across many urban areas. So it needs to have a significant impact on reducing population exposure to particulate matter, air pollution, and decrease the associated health risks. Next slide, please. And the proposed prize solution must be sustainable. So it needs to be innovative, and it should cause no or minimal damage to the environment through its life cycle, production, use, or disposable. And ideally, it should not produce any greenhouse gas emissions or generate additional air pollutants. Next slide, please. And obviously, in the end, it needs to be a solution which works towards a commercial application, so it needs to be affordable. So it should be commercially viable or have good prospects to be commercially viable and available in the near future. And the cost per micrograms per meter cubed of reduction of particulate matter will be taken into consideration when assessing the affordability of the solutions that are proposed for the prize. Next slide, please. So basically, you can look at all the information about the prizes. You can see it on the website, which I just mentioned a few slides back. We also have some promotional material, some flyers and posters, which can be obtained on request. And you can also ask specific questions if you contact the EC Clean Air Prize at ec.europa.eu email address, which is on this slide. And there's also one of our colleagues, Pascal, is making a number of tweets with the hashtag Horizon Prize, and particularly for the Clean Engine Prizes and for the Materials for Clean Air Prize. And also there's a LinkedIn group for Horizon Prizes for cleaner engines and improving air quality. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so that's basically the information I wanted to give about the materials for clean air. So, as was said at the beginning, I will pass now the microphone over to Julia, and she will talk about the Clean Engine Prizes. And then once she's made her presentation, then there will be the opportunity to ask questions about either of the two prizes. So I'd like to introduce Julia Sakovica, who will talk about the Clean Engine Prizes.
Thank you, Martin. Indeed, thank you for your presentation. The clean air is an issue relevant to all of us, to all Europeans. I'm representing here today the Directorate Transport of Director General Research and Innovation. And this afternoon, I would like to talk to you about such an important issue as the pollution coming from cars and what do we do to improve the current situation. May I have the presentation, please? Next slide, please. So why have we decided to go for these two cleanest engine prizes if at the same time we are promoting zero-emission transport, like electrification, fuel cells, or any other type of technology which is less emitting rather than the conventional fuels? The answer is quite simple, because old conventional cars will stay on our roads for the next decades, and we have to do something about that. Next slide, please. Martin has already talked about the pollution levels and the harmful effects on the health of particles, but there was a recent study made which took into account also the levels of pollution of NOx, which is the first picture on the very left, also the particles in the middle, and on the right side, the levels of ozone, which leads to incredible effects on our everyday life. Even though pollution is something that we don't see, it has a very much impact on our health. Next slide, please. Basically, all of this is to say that taking into account these additional pollutants which have impact on our health, it increases the number of premature deaths even more drastically and reaches 500,000 deaths a year in Europe yearly. Next slide, please. So it impacts our health not only over our lifetime, but also even before, during pregnancy. There is a premature birth. During childhood, there are significant effects on development and triggering of allergies, diabetes, asthma, and not only on humans, but also on animals. And of course, there are environmental effects raising for the pollution. And there are many policies developed in this area which are tackling health, air quality, decarbonization, and also, of course, the industrial policy. Next slide, please. But as we are talking today about the impact of the car pollution, the main takeaway from this slide is the colorful picture on the right, which actually shows us the level of NOx pollutions of the cars, let's say, to make it more simple, over the cars in the real driving. You see the pollution level are very dark and scary in the area there on the picture, except for the area marked with the red arrow, which is actually the levels of pollutions of the cars during the test cycles. Because indeed, the car manufacturers claim that the cars are already clean, so there would be no additional actions required. But the reality shows that the cars are clean only at this area of test cycles and not during the whole driving cycle of the car. Next slide, please. Moreover, there are many unregulated pollutions with potential issues too, which we want to also to see and tackle, and to make the cars clean from unregulated pollutions as NO2, ammonia, and others. Next slide. Of course, with the large number of population living in the cities, our main support and our main target is the European cities. And the Association of European Cities has recognized the importance of cleaning up the existing fleet, because even though with all the incentives for the cleaner vehicles, electric vehicles, it will take decades until the society will change towards these innovative technologies, and we have to clean the existing fleet. So European cities will be adopting new policies which will be in favor of the results the price hopefully will bring us. Next slide, please. At the same time, of course, we are developing a new policy, which is the light-duty real driving emissions legislation. The first stage has been already approved, but a lot of work still has to be done, and future packages are being developed. And mostly the procedure for pollutants are not included yet in the first version. However, there is a perceived insufficient stringency by local authorities leading to restriction of the diesels, even the brand new Euro 6 diesel, so the cars which has just gone on the market. And there is the legal action against the new regulations. So there is still lots of work to be done within this real driving emission legislation. Next slide, please. So why have we decided to go for prizes? Because until the cities take their actions, we have to find an effective way to trigger the innovation. Next slide, please. So collaborative projects within the Horizon 2020 are happening in parallel and which also tackle issues as emission reduction and powertrain efficiency. But the prizes have proven that they are the most effective way to stimulate the technological innovation and reduce pollutant emissions from to come up with the tangible solution immediately. So, and it also involves newcomers and fresh thinking, establishes feasibility of best practice technologies, and of course provides national and local authorities with real solutions to be certified not in the real driving and not on the test cycle, as we have seen in the previous slides, where the cars are actually clean already. Next slide, please. So why have we chosen to go for two prizes? So next slide. We have adopted a comprehensive approach. First of all, the cities have a problem now. We need to clean the existing fleet. We need to clean the cars which are on the roads right now, which are going to be around for many years ahead. And not everybody can afford to change a car and buy a clean car. And as I already mentioned, until we go for the electrification, which is even less affordable, the solution has to be found now. So the first prize is on the engine retrofits. So the solutions which can be applied to existing engines and to retrofit existing cars. And the second prize is looking more into the future. It's going to tackle the future engines. So here we aim to development of technologies which can be applied to conventional fuels, but with very ambitious targets. And of course it will be tested in the real driving, so no test cycles anymore will be used here. Next slide, please. So for this future prize, the amount of prize is 3.5 million. We have already launched the contest. The participants can submit their solutions already, and the submission will run until the end of August 2019. So there is still enough time to come up with the solution, and we have allocated such a long period of time because we want to see very qualitative solutions which might have a real tangible impact. Next slide, please. So we also have developed the same case of the clean air prize. There are rules of contest which are available on the prize website. The rules of contests describe in detail each and every criteria which we will assess when receiving the submissions. However, in general, the procedure is as follows. So, first of all, clean air engine, as I already told you, looks for, let's say, an ideal engine, either petrol or diesel. It has to be installed on the C-class donor vehicle and delivered to JRC, so the Joint Research Center premises, at the deadline of submissions, parallel with the paper applications which has to be done in the commission services. Prior to submitting this technology installed on the car and brought to JRC, there has to be testing done already beforehand in the independent laboratory. Cleanest engine of the future does not allow hybridization. Particle numbers are very ambitious, and the solution should not generate any other pollutants or impact the performance of the vehicle as such. The solution will be verified against defeat devices, and of course it will be might be verified in real driving. So the JRC will make sure that the solution brings these results as indicated in the application. The list of criteria such as emissions, safety, noise, performance, drivability, all these criteria in detail are described in the rules of contest available on the website. Next slide, please. And so the second prize, the shortest one, so which tackles the existing fleet, the retrofit prize, is a bit smaller. The award is 1.5 million. And the deadline for submissions is shorter, and it's already September 2017. Next slide, please. The procedure is very similar to the previous one. So the innovation has to be installed on the donor vehicle. It has to be tested previously in the laboratory and brought to Joint Research Center. Some differences exist that we allow limited hybridization because, of course, it will also go in hand with the current trend of hybrid cars. And again, it should not generate other pollutants. It will be tested against the feed devices and checked in real urban driving. All the detailed information is available on the Horizon Prize websites. We have, as Martin mentioned, we have a LinkedIn group, also functional mailboxes where you can ask any questions you might have. We are very ambitious with the targets we set up, and we hope to receive a large number of applications and to make the difference in the current situation. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, so I think we would like to pass back to Marta and Sophia now.
Thank you for this interesting presentation, Martin and Julia. Now we will pass to the question and answer session. Marta, did we receive any question from the chat?
Well, in fact, we haven't received any question from the participants. This only means that your presentation was very clear, I'm sure. However, I have some questions I would like to put. Prizes are a new funding instrument in Horizon 2020, so they have raised some doubts about what is funded. In fact, this is to reward work that have already been done, right? Not to fund further work. Am I right?
I can answer this question.
Okay, so yeah, basically the idea is that people propose a solution to the prize, and if they are the best solution, they're meeting the criteria that are asked for in the prize, they will get basically a reward for pushing forward the technology and achieving the solution. So then, as far as I understand, that they will get this money, and there may be, I think there's a restriction to spend it on other research and development, but it's not to pay for work that's already done. It's a prize after they've achieved the...
Indeed, depends on, it might slightly depend from price to price, but the general idea is that with this we stimulate the work and there will be no checks done how the money is spent. Of course, we would like it to be further invested in tackling the issues, but in general there will be no audits or controls on the money expenditure.
Okay, so just to be clear, the application submitted will have to present the solution that have already been developed and propose further work to achieve what you expect.
No, so basically the proposal will just have to provide a solution, and they don't have to give a plan for any further work. So,
Okay.
I mean, as long as they achieve, or one of the submissions achieves the objectives, then we will award the prize. And I guess if a solution almost achieves all of the objectives and they still have a strong potential for commercialization, we would still award a prize. But if they didn't achieve the objectives, then we wouldn't award a prize. But there's no restriction on what to do with the prize money afterwards. So there's no other research plan that has to be fulfilled afterwards.
In our case, in our angel prizes, in the rules of contest, there is a minimal threshold which is identified for each award criteria. So the submissions shall show minimal results or even best. So, and the best one will be selected and awarded.
Thank you so much. I think this clarification is very important. I have received some questions from stakeholders on this specific subject. Martin, you mentioned that the solution should be at least TRL 7 or above. Does this...
That's correct.
That can it be commercially available products that can be have further improvements?
I mean, I think it has to be new work. So you can't just present a commercial product that's already available or been available within the time frame of submitting the proposal. So it has to be something new. It could be something that's based on previous commercial products, or it could be something that as a result of the work is about to be commercialized, but it can't use something that's already commercial, if you understand my explanation.
It cannot be on the market already.
I mean, if there's already a solution on the market, then yeah, we won't, as far as I understand, we won't award a solution because that's the state of the art. So the idea also within the criteria for awarding, it has to improve upon the state of the art at the time of opening the submissions for the prize.
Yes, indeed, there is a point in the rules of contest which say if the challenge has been achieved during the contest, we might revise our targets, so make them even more ambitious, or find another solution. But indeed, we looked for the future and we look for the solution. If the solution already exists, we will not award the prize for the current state of the art.
Of course. So, but as you said, Martin, I think I understand it correctly. You can pick a commercial available solution and then improve it. And these improvements can change this solution and this new solution, because it's a new solution, because it has suffered some improvements. It's not in the market. So that can be applied.
So basically, I think you could start as a basis as a commercial solution, but you'd have to make a significant improvement.
Of course.
And if the improvement was significant enough, and then that could be the candidate for awarding the prize. But I think a small incremental incremental solution on an existing commercial product wouldn't be acceptable in terms of the criteria of awarding the prize.
I think the idea is the other way around. We would like the prize result become commercial after the prize is awarded, not the other way around.
Okay. Thank you. I had that impression, but I received a question from a stakeholder, and so I take this opportunity to find more about this. Julia, you said that the applications for the engines prizes are already opened.
Yes, indeed. The submission is already open through the participant portal. There are the paper submission forms, if we can say, already available on the European Commission participant portal. And the participants can bring their car already to JRC as well.
So, have you received already many applications in the system? Do you have access to that kind of information?
Yes, we do. We have not yet received the final application, but there is quite an interest from the stakeholders. We strongly encourage all the interested parties to register through the participant portal so that we can monitor and see the interest from the stakeholders. And yes, we have already received several registrations.
Maybe I can add a comment to that, because as Julia said, and we said before, that it's a relatively new instrument, these Horizon prizes, so it would also be helpful for when the materials prize for clean air is open in January next year. The people are definitely going to submit something. If after 2 or 3 months they can also register that they will submit something, so we have an idea of how many people would maybe submit a proposal, so we can help to plan for the jury of expert evaluators.
Yes, indeed, and it also facilitates the communication. I have to mention that due to recent developments, we had to update our rules of contest, and the new version will be published soon. So the most efficient way how to reach the interested parties are, of course, through those who are expressed their willingness, registered to the mailing list on the Horizon Prize website, or who have registered for the contest.
Okay, thank you. We have now 2 questions from participants. I just have to start, I see. So one is the Clear Air Prize not applicable for non-particulate matter, such as mercury?
Yeah, that's true. It's only applicable for particulate matter. It specifically says particulate matter.
And another one, if the submissions also include new equipment, or if it's only about materials?
I mean, there has to be a materials component for the prize, so a significant part of the solution has to be related to a materials capability or functionality.
Yeah, but these materials can be integrated in a device, right?
They can be integrated in a device, yeah, but there has to be materials science as part of the solution of the prize, yeah, but it can be integrated in a device. They don't, I mean, it's probably better to be in, because they have to demonstrate, so it will need to be integrated in some sort of application demonstrator, so it can, you know, it certainly can be integrated into a device, the material solution.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any more questions from the chat, at least until now. I have one additional question. Martin have already highlighted where additional information for clean air prizes can be found. Do you have any other information about additional information to give to participants, Julia?
Yes, so we have a common website for prizes where the information about the currently 17 launched prizes is available. So the same website as Martin mentioned. Also, all the interessents can find more ways to contact with us. I can say that we are currently monitoring the functional mailboxes. You can subscribe to the newsletter of the Horizon Prize website. For the upcoming events, there is going to be a police conference, which is quite known for the stakeholders, and we will be present there with the prize website stand. So any questions can be asked there. Also through the social media, following the same hashtags, and by joining the LinkedIn groups. So there are many ways to keep in touch, and all the questions will be tackled, so they can be asked anytime.
Okay, we just have received one additional question for the Clean Air Prize. What is the reason for excluding technologies installed directly or on exhaust?
This is for the Clean Air Prize?
Yes.
No. Well, I think the idea is that we didn't want our prize basically it's not targeting the automotive industry or cars. So basically we have the two separate prizes which are very much targeting the exhaust system, so that anything that was related to exhaust will be covered by the two prizes that Julia presented. So that's why the other prize is not related to emissions from automotive vehicles.
Thank you. That makes sense, of course. Well, I think there are no more questions. I don't have any other. Do you?
Actually, I'm curious about one thing that Julia mentioned. You said that the engine should be installed in a vehicle, a C-class vehicle, and delivered to JRC. What are you?
Yes, correct.
So the submission is through the participant portal, explaining the solution for the development of the engine, and the participants should deliver a real car at JRC?
Yes, correct. This is done for the verification.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we do trust our participants for the testing results they do submit in their application, but we would also like to verify the results in the real driving emissions testing. So the JRC will carry out tests and compare all the cars which will come.
And this is a further verification for the solution. You will compare all the solutions that were submitted to the prize.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Martin, you said that the automotive sector was not contemplated with the Clean Air Prize. And what about industrial exhausts, factories, etc.?
I mean, I have to, I double check on what it says in the text, but as far as I understand. Okay, so I think general industrial exhaust systems are included. So basically it's a moving vehicle exhaust which is excluded, but anything else, so it could be emissions from factories or large buildings or hospitals or whatever, so that is included. So it's just the moving vehicle exhaust systems that are excluded.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, we don't have any more questions, but I think if you have any additional questions, you can send us emails and or use the mailbox that was mentioned. But I think for questions we stop here.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Martin and Julia, for this very interesting discussion that we just had. Martin and Julia, would you like to say something else before we close this event?
I mean, it's interesting to know that I think you had a bit less than 100 people listening, so thanks for your interest in listening to the presentations about the prizes. And as I said before, on my presentation there's the link to the Materials for Clean Air website, but once you go there, there's also a link to all the other Horizon 2020 prizes, and then you will also be able to get the links for the Clean Air Prize. So by using the link for the Clean Air Prize, you will also be able to get the links for the Clean Engine prizes.
Yes, indeed. I would also like to thank you all for your attention and to reach the goal that we have set by launching all of these prizes, we would need your cooperation in disseminating this information as widely as possible. These prizes can be awarded to the big consortia who come up with the solutions, as well as to individual inventors. So to go beyond our usual network loop, we would like to ask you to be our ambassadors and to spread the information as wide as possible.
Of course, we will do that. Well, we will hope this event was useful. We remind you that all the information regarding the event for clients is on the NMP team website. The information from today's event will soon be uploaded, and all the participants will be contacted when available. That's all from our side. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.